When a man gets married, he completes a course in life, and there's success and there's failure. He succeeds at finding a partner for the time being, possibly for life, but in most cases, he finds a partner for the time being. It takes a long time for that, for life aspect of it to manifest. But I know a few people that are on their way to for life, you know. But he definitely at least finds a partner for the time being. However, he fails at single life. He lived a single life and he failed to achieve his bachelor's degree.
Fate has dealt you a winning hand that gave you a finger to click this link. Welcome to the Dial of K, perspectives on life and social commentary from a leader of those that do not follow.
Yeah, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. Welcome to episode 3 of the Dial of K. This one is called Bachelor's Degree. Okay, bachelor's degree is basically tips to live in your best bachelor's life, and how to succeed and earn that quote unquote degree. That's a bachelor's degree. That's when you've actually, I guess you could say, transcended from being single to being a bachelor. There's a difference. Okay. Um, Disclaimer: this is in no way an attempt to be a negative view on marriage life or marriage. I actually know some people that have very great marriages, by all accounts. But being that I'm giving you my perspective, is my perspective of what a great marriage is, and also something that I think I would like to have for myself, even though I don't have it and I haven't actively pursued it. But I see people that have it, and they have something that I appreciate, and I guess I would want. And I know people that have something I wouldn't want to, you know, for myself, But I want it for them though. I don't want any of them to leave their situation. I think ultimately everybody is where they're supposed to be, and everybody's doing what they're supposed to be doing at this time. As time passes and experience and information and desire and perspectives change, I believe that people ultimately end up going where they want to go. Let me get rid of these headphones. I don't really need these. But I should have did this. I should have did that off camera. But hey, I'm still new to this, So you're gonna see you're seeing a very raw process take place. Like my recording tactics is just pretty much record. I don't do any editing. I don't have any mixing going on. This is raw for real. But sometimes raw is raw. It's like natural, and then sometimes raw is just due to lack of ability or lack of knowledge or lack of desire to learn. And I think I fall into those three. But yeah, so I've been a bachelor pretty much all my life. I used to confuse being single with being a bachelor, or better yet, I may have co-opted a word and created my own. Actually, I did. I co-opted an existing word, created my own definition, and now I'm remixing it and introducing it to the world as if it's something that I did for myself. So I guess I'm a colonizer. I'm colonizing the word bachelor, and that's a key tradition. That's a tradition amongst the urban intellectual. You know what I'm saying? We An urban intellectual, a lot of your education comes from the street, which is trial and error, experience. Um, Unfortunately, for a lot of urban intellectuals, such as myself, when the information comes, when the source of information is your experience, as opposed to like a true academic study, you could end up, lacking in a lot of areas because you haven't experienced everything, although you experienced a lot, and by basing it on your experience, you don't really get the chance to to weigh it in contrast to other things that you haven't experienced or haven't researched. So I'll admit that. So, but anyway, in my opinion, there's a difference between being single and being a bachelor, right? Um, just and this is semantics, I'll admit, but single is more or less a circumstance. It's not really a choice. Um, Bachelorhood is a choice. Bachelorhood is when, and this goes for women too, but this conversation, because I'm a man, is primarily, from a male perspective. But bachelorhood is a choice in which you consciously choose to live this life. And the reason why I'm talking about this, because and like most episodes are usually like the culmination of the week, because I tend to do this towards the end of the week, and I'm trying to establish a pattern now of recording on Sundays. Because of just the way my life is and the way the week is, either Saturday or Sunday. And I like to record during the daytime. Like I have the best energy, and I think my mind is sharper during the day because I live a daytime life. I get up in the morning. I do. During the week I work out. On the weekend I do like a cleanup. Like my morning is always active, and that activity stimulates my mind and my thoughts. So I find myself to be better at this during the day, and the day I get the natural light, for the sake of the video, because there's an audio podcast as well. But I'm also trying to establish like a YouTube page, and I don't have the expertise and the know-how to like work lighting and things of that. So I like natural light. It's the lazy man's lighting. But yeah. So single is, in my opinion, for the sake of this conversation, is a set of circumstances in which someone just doesn't happen to be a man just doesn't happen to be with someone. And bachelorhood is someone that is making a conscious choice to live this lifestyle. Now, I'm not saying that it has to be a for life thing. It's for the time being. One should only transcend out of bachelorhood for the right reasons. But the reason why I came up this week, because like that was said to me a few times. Like I was having a conversation with a friend of mine that he's not married in the conventional sense of the word, but for all intents and purposes, he's married. He's been with the same woman for an extremely long time, and they do all the things that married people do, except legally. Which is interesting. I got like this dude. Yeah, you my man. I ain't saying those days though, but this dude is burnt all the way out. But I love him to death, right? At one point in time, because I do real estate as well, right? And at one point in time, he was trying to buy a house, and he needed 2 incomes in order to qualify for the mortgage. So I was like, put your girl on the loan with you. You know what I'm saying? And it would have been an open and shut case. Like they would have been a shoe-in with the 2 incomes. And but she told him, like, you gotta marry me first. And can you believe this dude ain't do it? Like, for whatever reason, whatever thought that he had in his mind, like he just wouldn't I'm like, like, y'all are married. I don't know what, but I don't know. That's a whole other conversation. But yeah, so I found that extremely interesting. You know what I'm saying? But so I was showing somebody something. I guess that would take place. Something an opportunity that came to me, and a set of circumstances that I was able to I say enjoy. And I was, sharing this with my friend, and he just like, oh man, you a bachelor. And the way he said it, it was like, it was with, what's the word? It was like with admiration. Like he admired that aspect of being a bachelor, deeming that, because I was a bachelor, I could have this experience, and because he's not, he could have the experience too, but it would be a lot more, would be a lot more involved with him having the experience, maybe even a little, difficult, right? Now I was talking to another friend of mine who's married, and we were having a conversation, and we were in something along the way, blah blah blah, and that also came up again with him, like but you don't got to deal with this, So it's usually when I'm talking to like a married friend or a friend that's in a relationship, um, and there's pros and cons to everything, and I understand that for some reason when people are experiencing the con of a relationship, my friends at least, they, for lack of a better word, kind of romanticize my life and and what it means to be a bachelor, and under the assumption that they wouldn't be experiencing whatever level of discomfort or confusion or frustration that they're having in that moment if they were also living the bachelor life, right? But with all things that people, in my opinion, that people romanticize, they don't look at the full scope of the situation that they're romanticizing. They definitely don't acknowledge the cons to what they're romanticizing, because there are a lot of downsides to being a bachelor. You have to be able to accept them and live with them, and you have to be willing to sacrifice some of the conveniences of a relationship and a marriage. That's the trade-off. So I'm not. Once again, I'm not. This is not an attempt to encourage bachelorhood or to discourage relationships and marriage. I'm just, for those that are doing it. I've been doing it for a while, and I'm just sharing some best practices and tips on how you can live your best bachelor life. Um, must have a natural ability to do this, though. Natural ability is nature, and I think, like there's a nature nurture uh, uh, disagree. I don't know if disagree. There's been a debate on nature nurture for years amongst anybody that studies like humanity, right? And I fall on the side of nature. I believe that falling on the side of nature, not saying that nurture is not a factor. Like when you fall, for me, the nature nurture is like, it's almost like a 49-51. So you know what I mean? Like both things are extremely important. It's just that I feel like the scales tips um, towards one or the other. Where some nature and nurture people are more 70-30 in for one or the other. But I do acknowledge that they're very close. But the reason why I fall on nature as opposed to nurture, while acknowledging nurture, reason why I fall on the side of nature is I believe that the nature affects the nurturing, right? So you have a predisposition to a pattern of behavior or way of thinking, and the stimuli, the things that are introduced to you, which lead to reactions, that has to be there. Like I've said this a million times before, and it's an extreme analogy, but you take the military, for instance, right? The military knows that the nature of man is savage to a certain extent, um, and men, humans, are, I'm quite sure, the only animal that can kill for reasons beyond survival. Like, and throughout the entire animal kingdom, they don't really kill for, anger. Like lions don't get mad at other lions just because they mad and go kill another lion. Like they fight over food and territory and survival. Like it's literally about their life. You know what I'm saying? Where there's no wars amongst apes because of politics, because one set of apes believe that, oh, we should eat bananas this way, and another set of apes believe like, nah, we gotta eat bananas this way, and now we're gonna go to war. You know what I'm saying? Like man is the only creature that kills just for the sake of killing. Gets mad and kills because of jealousy. Kills to steal from another person. And when I say stealing, like if animals fight over food, once again they're hungry. Men could have a pocket full of money and go steal some more. You know what I'm saying? Like they not even gonna spend all the money they're gonna steal. They gonna steal it and leave it for somebody else. But anyway, but the military knows that about nature, right? The nature of man. Therefore, the military, with their knowledge of nature of man, uh, is quite certain and have proven, have been successful at a rate that acknowledges that their assumption is I guess correct. But they're quite certain that they could literally take any adolescent human being from any background and any circumstance. They could take a kid from Iowa, a kid from Brooklyn, a kid from Hawaii, a kid from the Virgin Islands, a kid from Puerto Rico, anybody in America, really anybody in the world, right? They could take a kid that came up in an inner city in an inner city, in a rural area, came up in a violent environment, came up in a passive environment, a kid that had a lot of aggression issues, a kid that's never even had a physical fight. But they are quite certain that they could take any adolescent human being and within 6 weeks convince him to kill somebody. Convincing him to kill a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And also convince somebody that's never really even had a fight to go get in shootouts with people that got just as many guns as they do. Like right now, man, I couldn't go to the hood. Like I couldn't go on my block right now and get like 10 tough dudes and be like, yo, there's some dudes on St. John's talking shit. Let's go get them, right? And if I go to 10 dudes on the corner right now, they'd be like, all right, they'll strap up and come with me. But if I tell them like, yo, the dudes on St. John's is waiting, right? And they got their guns and they ready to go too, a couple dudes gonna back down because it's one thing to go attack somebody that don't know you coming, right? It's another thing to go attack some dudes that's waiting for you, right? And they got what you got and even more. You know what I mean? But the military, they're able to do that. They're able to convince the average, I don't know if the average, but they're able to take they're very confident in their ability to take an adolescent and turn him into a killer because they know the nature of man is violent. The nature of man is to kill, not to kill, but man at nature can kill, right? And so bachelorhood, I think, requires a certain natural disposition. You have to have an inner functioning ideology that is conducive to it. And we live in human society isn't really a bachelor society. I can't think of any I can't think of any instance in which that has proven to be the case, especially in the past, because the coupling of a man and woman and a family structure was as natural as life itself, because you had to reproduce, you needed some type of family unit, tribal unit, something in order to achieve this, and it's varied over the years. It varied amongst people in the more early studies of man, especially where we come from, black people, in a tribal life, it was more of a polygamous type thing where one man could have multiple wives. But which you could say they were kind of bachelorish if as I go into this, like those guys are kind of bachelors, in ratio and proportion today. Oh, well, that is interesting. So maybe I never thought of this. This just hit me right now as I'm talking. For black men, maybe bachelorhood is more natural. Interesting. I gotta revisit that. I can't hash it out right now, but I'm gonna I might have to revisit this. There's gonna be a follow up to this. But yeah, so you have to have that natural ability, that natural disposition. Like with sports, you can't train somebody that doesn't have speed to be a really impressive in track. Like they have to have that natural ability. And I would even say that with studies of like the mind, like academics, like everybody doesn't have the mental ability to really excel in academics, or they could be given the information, they could spend the time. There was a kid when we were young, around my sister's age, and her parents invested a whole lot into her education, and for lack of a better word, she was a little slow, but they put a lot into this girl to like overcome uh, what was her natural disposition, which would have really have not been to excel academically, you know. And had it not been for her parents and their efforts, she wouldn't have gotten as far as she got academically. She did, fairly well. But I have a little sister um, who was a doctor, and it was always clear that she was going to be a doctor. And not to knock my parents, they didn't put any of that into her. She just got up and did it. You know what I mean? My own daughter is just a natural academic, and it's just there's never been a time in which that wasn't going to be obvious for her. Um, yeah, so you got to have the disposition in order to achieve at bachelorhood. So people that don't have it, it's no, and people that don't have it and they pursue it, I believe the natural selection process weeds them out of the equation. Like they find themselves where they need to be, and it usually involves someone else making that connection where those that connection is not going to, like, they're not going to be able to connect that by themselves. So they bring someone else into the equation and they make that connection for them. And that's who it's for, in my opinion. Um, See, your happiness as a bachelor has to be something that you could sustain on your own. Interesting thing happened. I was talking to one of my friends that's married, right? And he's a married intellectual, mainstream intellectual. But I don't know. So he hits me, on a regular basis, and he'll be like, we'll have these, intellectual conversations. At least it's intellectual to us, But so he hit me the other day, and he's like, it was based on another conversation, right? But he's like, what makes some, I can't remember exactly how he put it, but he's basically asked me like, how do I define like good sex, right? And and at first I was being a little evasive. Oh yeah, because I think he was responding to something that I had said in another episode. But basically, I'd acknowledged, or I'd made, I stated my position that I've never, like, I hear dudes talk about good pussy, bad pussy, blah 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 blah, and I'm like, I get it and all, but honestly, I have never come across bad pussy. Like, to me, bad pussy is like a UFO, Bigfoot, QAnon. You know what I'm saying? Like, people believe in it. You know what I mean? And people shit. It's Easter Sunday. To me, bad pussy's like Jesus. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's people that swear that they seen it, swear that they have experienced it, they have connected with it. I personally have never come across any bad pussy. I don't think it exists. You know what I'm saying? I don't believe in bad pussy. To me, all pussy is good. You know what I'm saying? I've appreciated every piece of pussy I was given. So I've never been like, oh man, that's a bad pussy. You know what I'm saying? But what I would put, so as he was going back and forth with this, he's like, trying to box me into answering the question. And then it hit me. I was like, you know what? What do you? So I asked him, I said, well, you tell me what makes it good. You know what I mean? And then he broke down, some things, that made it, that defined good for him, right? And he's like, and this, they were not things that I would dispute, and it wasn't like he went outside the box and said something like groundbreaking, but he was, just basic stuff like, he said something about, the presentation. He likes it when a woman, looks good. I guess, maybe that means like lingerie or the right panties or, good ponytail. I don't know. I mean, I don't think he expected a woman to like have makeup and her hair done every time he had sex, but I don't know. But that's what he was saying, right? And then he was, he spoke to like the way a woman would like act, or I don't know if act is the right word, but things that she would do during the sex that makes it good for him, so forth and so on, right? And as he was saying that, I realized like the natural difference between him and me, which I think explains a lot why he's married and I'm a bachelor. And I said, well, I don't think that, which is weird, but this is the natural thing, like because the way I'm wired, the quality of the sex doesn't really. The woman doesn't define the quality of the sex. I know that sounds weird to people listening because you're thinking, how can you be having sex with a woman and the quality of the sex not be defined by her, right? But I told him, in my opinion, that it's really about me. Like, where am I at in this moment? Or remember, I spoke to the hypersexualization of men. Especially like the way I grew up. I think a lot of dudes that speak of this so-called bad pussy, right? That happens because they probably be fucking at times when they really don't need to be fucking. They really just fucking to be fucking. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like the desire has to be a natural desire for sex at the time that you have sex for it to be quote unquote good, Whereas a lot of dudes be fucking because they bored, or because they're thirsty, and there's a difference between thirst and desire, right? So when you're feeding your thirst, or you're feeding your boredom, or you're feeding your ego, then yeah, sex is not going to be as pleasurable as to when you're feeding your desire, right? When you're actually desiring sex, when you actually want that, when your hormones and your mind, they are, at the risk of sounding too mumbo jumbo-ish, but when you're like spiritually and emotionally, physically and mentally, all those things are firing at peak, because you're going to receive a different level of pleasure, right? So, but by him thinking that a woman is the source of his sexual gratification, and therefore he's always going to be looking to a woman for something to complete him. He's not looking at it as, this is something that I do for me, or this is something that I'm responsible for in order for me to achieve this thing. In order for me to for this to happen, it requires someone else, right? So most people, in my opinion, that cannot live a bachelor life, they need that other human being to complete them. And that completion is on things that are really of significance. It's not just, it's not trivial things. Like, and I'm not going to just simplify it to like sex, but they need somebody to talk to. Like, they don't really, like, some of my best conversations, or I think a single person's, or not a single, a bachelor's, some of a bachelor's best conversations are with himself, right? Ooh, man. I remember when I read the book Pimp, the Story of My Life by Iceberg Slim, where most young men that read that book around the time that I read it, like adolescence, there's a lot of stuff that we take on from that book, and that although I never aspired to be a pimp, But there's some of the things that he laid out. Actually, very few of the things that he laid out. But one of the things that he said, I took to heart that carried me into life. Period. Right. And he basically said that a pimp is lonely. Right. And a pimp is his own best company. And that was for other reasons. And I'm not trying to glorify pimping, but I just remembered that best company aspect of it, and I bought into that, right? And I was always my own best company, and I've never. Well, I appreciate the company of others and conversation with others, and I love fellowshipping, but I could do alone I'm real good at alone, like extremely good at alone. I remember when my cousin tells me I gotta stop telling prison stories, but fuck it, shit happens, it comes up. But I remember I got put in the solitary confinement for some bullshit, like literally some bullshit. But I don't want to get into the story. But anyway, but because of prison overcrowding, like solitary confinement is a misleading term. Like it's not likely that you're going to get in a cell by yourself. So most people in solitary confinement are in the cell with somebody else. They have celly, because the cells are like 2-man cells, right? And so I was in solitary confinement for a while, and like for 4 months, I had somebody in the cell with me for 4 months, and I had somebody in the cell with me for about 6 months. Like one guy stayed in the cell with me for 4 months, and another guy came in for like 2 months, and then I think the last 2 months I was in the cell by myself, right? But my man, like one of my aces, like a nigga that I love, was in the cell next to me, but he was in the cell with another dude, right? So when my cellie got shipped out, my man was like, yo, I'm gonna come in the cell with you. And I was like, all right. But in the back of my mind, I was like, damn, man, I don't really want this nigga in the cell with me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really want to be in the cell by myself. So I told him, I was like, man, you know what? I'm gonna stay by myself, right? And he brings that shit up to this day. Like, he's like, yo, you ain't let me come in the cell. I was like, yo, my nigga, like, I wanted to be in the cell by myself. You know what I mean? And I spent the last 2 months. I was in solitary for 8 months. I was in the box for 8 months, and the last 2 months I was in the cell by myself, right? Now, but because I was in the box for some bullshit, right, it got to the point where every time, like, the warden or the staff would come walk through the shoe, they'll be, everybody will be on the door like, yo, man, y'all gonna let me out, blah, 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 right? And, I was doing that shit too, because I did want to get out the shoe. But then when I ended up by myself, I kind of stopped doing it. Or I would do it just for the sake of doing it, because I really didn't care. Because at this point, after 6 months, I didn't know when I was gonna get out the box. I was like, fuck it, they might just stretch me the fuck out in this motherfucker, right? And I was cool with it. But because of appearance and protocol, when the warden would come through, I'd be like knocking on the door, like, yo, let me out the box, blah, 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 right? But then one day, the warden was walking, right? And the dude across from me started talking to the warden, right? But I was laying, but when I didn't realize she was coming, so when she came, I had to act like I was doing something else. So I was sitting down trying to act like I was, because they're gonna look in the window, see your cell, and now I could be like, you okay, whatever. So I was trying to not get her attention, right? So I realized, like, I'm waiting for the knock, but the knock ain't coming. So I'm like, oh. Then I realized, wait a minute, she's avoiding me, I'm avoiding her. Because I really didn't care about being alone. At this point, I didn't want to say anything to, one, alert to her that I was in there by myself, and her thinking like, oh, you want some company, let me throw somebody in with you. And two, you know what I mean? Like, ask me any questions, like I was good, So just a little tangent right there. But yeah, I enjoyed my own company, right? And enjoying your own company is a cornerstone to bachelorhood, and and you have to have that internal disposition. I believe most people that I know that, especially successfully married or successfully in relationships, they're not really too big on being alone. It's not their ideal way of existing. Sometimes I look at how much time I spend alone, and I'd be like, damn, this is weird. At one time I even spoke to a psychiatrist about it to see if there's something wrong with me. But nah, it's like I'm just, it's just me, and I'm cool being by myself. The obstacles to bachelorhood. I want to speak on those. And these obstacles are like the pitfalls. You know, I think one of the major obstacles is the wrong motivation. I speak to some people, and they think that being a bachelor is a like it. So they're two separate things that need to be addressed. So if you're like a if you want to be a player, if you have like the sexual conqueror um, mentality where you gotta always be trying to smash on somebody, some woman, or I mean I guess there's some gay men looking at this too, or if you always trying to smash, you know what I'm saying, and you have a sexual appetite that's voracious, like you gotta be fucking every day, you know what I'm saying, then that's a totally different issue. That has nothing to do with bachelorhood. I'm not one to judge. Don't even really want to get into that. But if that's your thing, then that's the wrong motivation for bachelorhood. And the reason why I say that because when you're driven by your sexual desire to that extent, that's more the motivation is more the sexual desire or the sexual conquest is more the desire. That's really what you desire. You don't really desire bachelorhood, right? Now you might figure that this is the best set of circumstances to allow you to perceive that goal. But that type of pursuit, and I've said this before, and this is going to be a reoccurring theme, but anybody that's like that driven by their sexual desires is going to have, and it's been proven, throughout time, that it leads to confusion. That's one of the, it just definitely leads to confusion. It compromises, puts you in compromising situations. And whatever you're trying to maintain, if you can't manage that desire, and if you have that type of appetite, it's not likely that a lot of things that you do and pursue are going to be compromised by that behavior. What you have to do in order to feed that desire, it's you're going to find yourself in a lot of confusion. So for those that fall in that situation, not to be judging, but that's something that I think that you would find that if you worked on it, I think you would find pleasure in the result of after you got over that or got where that was no longer the case. Yeah, so like bachelorhood requires a degree of discipline, of sexual discipline. Like I would say, like a while ago, I said that as a bachelor, you should only have sex like once a week. Which, if you're only having sex once a week, that puts monogamy on the table. Like once again, the motivation for being a bachelor is not it can't be to feed your sexual appetite and be like, I want to be a bachelor and run around, fucking everything I can fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's really not the motivation for it. You have to have a certain level of sexual discipline to be a successful bachelor, right? Because right now what we're talking about is getting that bachelor's degree, right? To master in bachelorhood, to live in your best bachelor life. So you got to have a certain level of sexual discipline. I say you should only have sex like once a week. Now, that's the goal. We don't hardly, we don't always hit the mark. It's like, like people that work out, be like, you have one cheat day and, we fall off, but the goal, you at least want to be trying to hit the goal, once a week or so. You know what I'm saying? And I can't really say monogamy, right? Because I don't know if I've really bought into monogamy, but I will say monogamish, right? Monogamish is like, like, you pretty much having sex with one woman, primarily, but, you try pussy every now and then. I don't know what the now and then is, but, but monogamish, like if to be a good bachelor, to be a good bachelor, you want to, in order to maintain that discipline, and my man was talking about good sex and all, but yeah, but even for yourself though, like I believe that that connection and that connection, that comfort, and not for nothing, like being able to hit it raw kind of helps. You know what I'm saying? You can't be running around. You can't be running around raw dogging randos and more than one dose. You know what I'm saying? Like I know dudes is like going raw with like one, like two and more. You know what I'm saying? That's a dangerous game. But if that's how you do your thing, that's cool. You missing pH balances and bacteria and just different different juices, but you end up with some fruit punch that ain't, might not be the right, might not be the flavor that you want. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that's why I say monogamish. And also, you have to practice bachelorhood with women that also buy into it. This is the hard part. This is the extremely difficult part. And this is where most single men fail. And this is why they don't earn the bachelor's degree, right? Because, like I said, you have people that are single by choice and single by circumstance. And the inconvenient thing to those two is that they both share singularity. Therefore, they're going to share the same spaces and they're going to interact with each other a lot more than they should. So the man or the woman, but anyway, so I'm speaking to women. So the women that are single by circumstance, they don't really want to be single. They would prefer to be in a relationship. That's why, you hear I'm dating with a purpose and all the bullshit that they be saying. But as a bachelor, as a man seeking to earn his bachelor's degree, if you consort with a woman that's single by circumstance, you really compromise the bachelor's degree. Like you drastically lessen the chances that you're going to earn the bachelor's degree, right? And the woman, the single by circumstance, depending on the circumstance, and there is a level of optimism and cunning and skill that the single by circumstance have, where you could identify, if the one that's really, if for some reason a woman that's single by circumstance deems you worthy and worth the effort, right? If for some reason that happens, then they're willing to invest time and effort into you. And some of them seem to like the challenge, right? Of taming, of taming and capturing, But if you are in pursuit of your bachelor's degree, dealing with those women is not it's not conducive, and it's gonna cause a lot of confusion, right? Because ultimately, either they're going to express and their dissatisfaction and that they're unfulfilled, and it puts a lot of bad energy out there. Like there was a time when I was in my room one time, and a woman was, I was dealing with a woman that was single by circumstance, and it played out the way single by circumstance plays out. Once they realize that you are who you are, and you're doing what you said you were going to do, or if the conversation never really was fully fleshed out, because I used to be the bachelor part of, in my early studies in trying to achieve my degree, I was being a little omissive, where I wasn't doing the lying thing, but I was being omissive, where I don't think I was fully expressing that, this is it. This is what I want to do. I don't really want to do anything else. Like, I like my life, I like living alone. Do you understand what that means, right? And as I started to be as I started to be more transparent and forthcoming, life got better. And however, everybody's not with that, So I had to pass up on some what could have been some pretty good some good times, But how good would it have been if it only lasted anyway, that's a whole nother conversation. But yeah, so you have to, when you're dealing with the single by circumstance. Oh, I'm sorry, I got sidetracked. Yeah, so one day I was dealing with the single by circumstance, and she was running down the litany of grievances, of areas of displeasure, and reason why she, was going to leave, right? And I just was like, damn, I've heard this too many times, and neither one of the previous times led me to change my position and who I am. So I was like, this is really who I am, so I need to stop doing this, So yeah, so dealing with women that are single by circumstance is definitely something that will compromise that bachelor's degree, And you got to be really wary of that. Think about the single by circumstance, like, they bring conveniency. Conveniency is conveniency will lead you down a path that you don't belong going. But the convenience of that path is why you will travel that path, Because what is a trail? Like, a trail, somebody walked it, like, it's the easy way to go. You gotta be wary of that. It's nothing like, and then in today's time, convenience is a motherfucker. I mean, ain't nothing is going to compromise your bachelor's degree more than some convenient, good pussy. Like, wow, I mean, and especially in today's time, like, convenient pussy, right? You don't even really got to get dressed for it. You don't got to go out for it. Back in the days, you would at least have to go pick it up. I'm not saying it to devalue. I'm just saying in the sake of this conversation. But back in the days, you at least have to go pick up convenient good pussy. You know what I'm saying? And so at least put on some clothes and get in the car. And if you live in the, now you ain't got to do that. Convenient good pussies like Uber Eats. You could send her an Uber, but like the really, really convenient good pussy, you ain't gotta send an Uber. Like, they will Uber themselves over. Pay for their own Uber. Round trip. You're just at home chilling. You know what I'm saying? All you gotta do is really take a shower, and put on some clean drawers and a clean t-shirt and some sweats, and boom, pussy's at the door. Now, that convenient pussy, after a while, you start getting so used to it, you just compromise with bachelorhood. You're like, what, fuck this bachelor shit, man. I got, and now you just fucking to be fucking, because you don't need to be, that much, but, So yeah, convenient, good pussy, attached, not attached, but convenient, good pussy from a woman that is single by circumstance, doesn't really want to be single, is definitely like the nail in the coffin of the bachelor degree. Like, you're going to fail. You know what I'm saying? Like you're going to be a dropout. You get mixed up in some of that. Another major drawback to the bachelor's degree: mothers. Yeah, mothers. You ever notice that? Well, first of all, let's all acknowledge that, especially black men, I don't know. I did again. Fuck it. My mother. Like, mothers are always like, son, when you gonna settle down? You know, you gonna get married, blah, 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 right? And if you got a strong-willed mother, if you got a mother like mine, oh man, you gotta yo, like my mother has a lot of influence over us, you know. But I gotta say, my brother, my younger brother, he is like the great of my mother's 4 children. He's the one that listens the most. Like she has the most influence over him, and he is, by all intents and purposes, the most successful. You know, married, homeowner, 2 kids, excelling in corporate America, extremely educated. This nigga got a PhD. You know what I'm saying? Like from UCLA in computer science. Like nah, like this little nigga's a boss. You know what I'm saying? On the strength of listening to my mother, right? Me, I'm the one that don't listen. You know, got on the black t-shirt. I guess you could say I'm the black sheep. But I learned a valuable lesson in dealing with my mother, which also let me know, looking back on it, it let me know that I have a disposition towards bachelorhood, right? Because one thing you got to do as a bachelor, either you have to meet women that are where you are in life, or you got to train them to be where you are in life. And in order to train a woman to be where you are in life, and to be able to, because you got to train her to be able to play with you. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like training in sports. Like, you just can't let anybody on the field. They got to go through some training. You know what I'm saying? You just can't let anybody get in the ring. You got to train them. You know, so you got to, as a bachelor, sometimes you might find yourself having to train a woman that you want to keep around. And I had an incident, something happened with, you know, with a woman I was dealing with, and you know, just one day she made an attempt to change a little bit more things than I wanted to change, or change me, whatever it was, right? And it was connected to like, you know, her telling me, I ain't gonna fuck with you no more unless this, that, and the third happens, right? And I let her know that this, that, and the third was not gonna happen. It's just not. This is who I am. This is me. I sold myself correctly. You know what I mean? I'm like, you know, I don't really get what you're complaining about. Like, you know what I'm saying? Not like, hey, I'm saying, you got me, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, I ain't trying to be, you know, conceited here, or, you know, be full of myself, but, you know, I'm all right. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I ain't the best motherfucker, but I'm better than a lot of niggas. You know what I'm saying? And I know I'm better than a lot of niggas that you come across on a regular basis. Like, you know, what you really want to do here? You know what I'm saying? Nah, dead ass. So, but you know, and she realized it, and we didn't have that problem. We don't have that problem anymore. You know, and we exist in a really good space. You know what I'm saying? And I remember when I was young, I had the bad habit of running the street too much, you know, and because my mother had moved away from the neighborhood that I was living in, and that was like more, people I went to school with and shit like that. She moved to like another neighborhood that wasn't really developed yet. It was like a new neighborhood, and nobody that I knew lived out there, right? And my social circle was, so I didn't spend a lot of time at home. And but I don't know why I was a little, I don't know why, but I don't know why, but I was extremely irresponsible with communication. So I would be gone from home and not calling my mother, letting her know where I was at, you know. And sometimes it would be for a day or two, you know, and I'm a child. Like, I'm like 13 years old, 14 years old, 15 years old, and this is the type of shit that I'm doing, right? But 13 and 14 was the years that drove my mother crazy. Like, I would come home, she would beat me, she would be thinking I was dead somewhere. Like, she's like, I would call the morgue, blah, blah, blah. You know what I'm saying? But I just kept doing it. And then after a while, my mother just had to accept, like, this is who I am. Like, yeah, I got a son that like to run the street. Like, he's a little street nigga. Like, this is just what it is, you know? And once she accepted that, And I guess, then, I had a little brother. She had other kids to pay attention to. She paid more attention to them. You know what I'm saying? But once she accepted that, our relationship, I ain't gonna say our relationship got better, because that was just one of the litany of difficulties that my mother had with me. So during those years, our relationship wasn't really that good, because I was not a good son. I was an extreme failure as a son. But at least in that regard, though. But looking back on it years later, I was talking to my mother. I was like, you might have been the first woman that I had to train. Because like I had to, I had to let you get that about you. Like I had to let you learn that, this ain't what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like you ain't gonna be able to keep, bothering me like this every day. So you gotta be able to. Sometimes you might have to train. But it has to be a woman that's trainable. Or, better yet, has to be a woman of the same disposition. A woman that enjoys being a bachelorette as much as you enjoy being a bachelor. When you truly find that as a bachelor, that's the easy way to go. That's the given. You're a bachelor, you got your bachelor's degree, you meet a bachelorette. As I think you have learned in life by now, you don't really get the easy one that much. Like you don't, unless you're extremely blessed. But like the situations where it's just perfect and it falls into your lap and it's ready to go, you don't really get those that much. So most things need some work, and I'm speaking more to the work, right? And the work is, you might have to train, And the other killer of the bachelor's degree that's going to really compromise your bachelor's degree is if you have pursuits that require that imagery and that will lead you into doing something that you're really not. You're not really set up for. You're not really wired for. Like, that's why a lot of politicians, have the problems that they have, because unfortunately, it's starting to loosen up now, because there are a few prominent politicians that are single, a few that are my live just ended, a few that are should I stop and do this now? Man, I'm in the middle of recording. See, this is the this is speaking to my hold on, I gotta do something real quick here. Causing this dead air. This is extremely unprofessional. So let me not do this. I was trying to wrap something else up while I'm doing this, but we'll figure that out. But anyway, pursuits that will lead you into this, pursuits that would unnaturally lead you away from bachelorhood, right? Will compromise you getting your bachelor's degree. So you have to look at the bachelor's degree, look at the bachelor's life, and look at the things that you want to achieve and the things that you want to pursue. And that's also part of acknowledging, is this really for you, right? Because once again, it's not for everybody. That's it. I have to admit, I'm not really pleased with the way this is ending. Like I should have put together a better ending, but it's a learning process, and you're going to see it in real time. So sometimes I'm going to nail it, sometimes I'm not. But so as I wrap up this episode, just remember that fate has dealt you a winning hand, so you will always have a finger to click this link. This has been episode 3 of the Dial of K. Perspectives on life and social commentary from the leader of those that do not follow.